if I had known it was this bad here and that there would be so many, like, few of me, that people like me here, I would not have brought my babies here to this disgusting place. Because my babies and I deserve a better world than this. We're world builders. I accept the fact that we've come here to improve this place, but the levels of society's toxicity and governing incompetence and chronic systematic forced enslavement, lack of ingenuity, withholding of technologies deliberately, and the exploitation of innocence and earth and nature and everything that is sacred is repulsive. Absolutely repulsive. And perversive. The amount of agendas and programs of different bodies, entities, on mass populations is frankly embarrassing and downright irreversibly harmful. Really. The only way that I'm able to do any kind of goddess missions at the moment is through means that are not to my standard of conduct. But I've had to compromise in that sort of mode that is, you know, somewhat safe, not really ethical, sort of illegal, and makes me feel desperate. There's such, like, this lack of enforced, like, it's like enforced enablement parenting of a nation. The way they are treated by the institutions. They're meant to be like, well, they're getting paid by the public to service them. So I'm not sure what's happening there. The arrogance of the governing bodies as well, that they're actually successful. I'm not sure if this is just Australia. I'm pretty sure they aren't like this in Norway or Iceland. That's where my some of my bloodline is from, Scandinavia and Finland. So I have a right to be there or visit there or know more about my ancestors from there. Yet I don't. This is very wrong. Why do I need a passport and pay shitloads of money just to go back to the homeland where some of my bloodline are from? That's how I view this colonization. It's enforced, like, removal of people off their lands, and capitalism and industrialism and globalization has forced so many population groups to move off their homeland where their bloodline is from and where their ancestors are buried, severing us from our bloodlines, which are godlike because they survive through eternity, as you know, keeps getting replicated, keeps coming back. It's from the original one source, or many original one sources and variations. scientific model. Hasn't been used in the most efficient way. Thought it would replace the corruption of religion. It turns out it's been exploited and corrupted just like religion. So that was a clever little twist of destiny there. Trying to tell them that science was invented in the 1800s by a white guy. Come on, Egypt. The most grandest empire that we have in living memory, that we have a lot of evidence about, keeps indicating higher technologies and surgical instruments and astronomy and mathematics, everything. And basically what looks like to me, magic technology, like technology synced in with spirituality, magic, whatever, belief, faith, imagination, the unseen, mystical side. Incorporated it in with the fucking spiritual, natural, magic instinct of humans. Therefore, making the technology perform at its highest level it could perform to. It's not being used in its most efficient form. I can see this. This is very clear to me. We're very behind. There's no reason why we've got people in history for through the medieval times and through all these things. People walking around with amputees, a lot more amputees and missing eye, missing limb, missing ear, missing arm. Imagine how horrible and traumatic that injury would have been back then without the access to anesthetic, medicine, pain relief. Or you just go and see the local witch, shaman, doctor, or get a little herbal mixture, so they've replaced all of this stuff with synthesized, in a factory made, unnatural, unhealthy, nutrient-less junk. It's a junk society. We just junk creators. Our existence is just producing rubbish for the environment. And, the next thing on the agenda is United Nations Party winning and leading this country because of their slogans. Very effective for the average angry Australian. This kind of populism politics, which are just basically billionaires, elite billionaires, fucking pretending that they've got the working man's struggle in their heart or at the forefront of their political making decisions, when it's just a con job. Do not get sucked into these billionaires like these Clive. You look what happened to America. Got sucked in with Trump. Okay, he didn't blow the world up. Good, thank fuck. Because it was that was the horror the world felt when he got elected as president. So whoever the fat billionaire cunt that runs Australia United, we are not stupid. We are not silly. We are not dumb. We know what is what. We know propaganda when we see it, despite having been fed so much of it on Australian Fox-run Murdoch media. Murdoch favoured Trump. They had a little alliance thing going. They were each other's buddies. Basically, Fox allowed their news station to just churn out happy, joy stories of why Trump's so fucking amazing. He's the dumbest joke of a president America has ever had. And that's saying something, because we all remember George Bush Jr. and what a fucking disgusting, corrupted shithole that was, and how stupid he was. I honestly was like, wow, America, wow. And then they produced Trump. So there's a country with 3 to 500 million people in it, population, who aren't forced to vote. They elected Trump, majority vote. That means more than half of Americans, or maybe just over half. I'm sure the popularity in the polls went down, but it doesn't matter. When you vote, your vote counts, man. It's not, so a lot of people must have come out to vote for him. A lot of angry Americans. Everyone's angry. Not allowed to express anger. Anger frightens people. People don't understand what the reason anger is for. If anger was allowed to be a thing, there wouldn't be violence. Anger is related to justice. Anger is related to retribution, war. It's linked to sadness. Fear even can be linked to. There's different types of anger that people can have. It's very unique. But when used appropriately in the right situation, can be of benefit as necessary. Doesn't mean you have to go and demolish and destroy everything and everyone and be violent and hurt people. Anger can be expressed without doing those things. And because the anger is suppressed, it affects the other emotions as well. They start to the toxicity spreads, the unhealthiness. And now I'm living in a world where people are kind of like heartless, gutless, hurtful, inconsistent, chronically low levels anger all the time, like sarcasm, attitude. Like I said, even the fucking nice people, probably because they're traumatized though from society and generations being like this, it's because they fucking oppressed us so long. It's because they colonized us. It's because we have a whole rich history in our ancestors, in our blood. Remember a time when Egypt guarded the world, I believe, with the help of the giants. Maybe they were giants. Giants are the gods, interdimensional ones, perhaps. Earth inhabitants before humans here a long time. In touch with the earth and the magic of the earth. Earth's guardians. That got eradicated. A dynasty like Egypt doesn't just blend itself out or something. Obviously it was colonized around about the same time when records and history and documents and libraries were getting ransacked by government officials and destroyed. Colonizers who colonized that place. You know, like there's been wars throughout history, throughout all of time. There always will be. And there's accounts of these wars. And I don't even like Mongolia didn't go to Kazakhstan and take the people from Kazakhstan and force them to to go over to Italy. And so to, and trying to race their history and knowledge of their ancestors and connection with their ancestral land for generations. And then might decide to have a war with that country if they feel like it, but paint the war in the media to look like they're being heroes. And you think these guys didn't corrupt history and science? Of course. Look at everything else that's been exploited. You think science and history is like safe from this colonization takeover bullshit, racing of history? We've had needless harm and like health population issues in the world when we moved away from Egypt and its medical technology and travel technology and its knowledge of the stars and the like having a good rapport with like what sounds to me like other deities who had like good like intended use for humanity, deities, goddesses, gods, maybe creators, probably creators in the sense that they were like our ancestors, like maybe they created us. I don't know. There's an element of creation of a human that is has many mysteries to me. That sometimes I'm a bit worried. Maybe I don't want to find out actually. So I try not to spend too much time on the creation story, although it does pop up. It has been popping up a little bit. But I'm more focused on the future about what to do with there. Because every time I time travel back into the past with this, I come back like traumatized by this fucking future. Just the injustice and imbalance and misuse of fucking powers by the colonizers. It's the reason you can't think back before 0 BC. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's the fact that you don't even care or don't want to, or like not interested in what your ancestors and bloodlines were doing back then and what they were experiencing, and if they may have had fucking access to like technologies and health technologies so that they wouldn't have to walk around amputee or people dying from plague and all this sort of shit, and not getting vaccinated earlier for things. Like they would have had they would have had the technology for a vaccine around about the time that the colonizers started taking over the indigenous populations, and all these indigenous cultures were dying from fucking measles and pox and all these like introduced germs they never had. They didn't stand a chance unless so many of them died. Heaps, wiped like maybe half of the population at least in each case. Unnecessary because we should have had the technology to have vaccine back then. Going by what Egypt used to have, Egypt is fucking shitloads advanced more than us. So what happened? Did they just abandon the fucking kingdom? It was just like slowly like get sold out by the other generations of kings. Like sneaky priests got in their ear and like they just like relinquished their fucking title and their crown. Like Egyptian kings and queens, pharaohs took their role as pharaoh very seriously, to the point where they had a duty and obligation to come when their body dies out to actually come back into another body as the same soul to like continue on the fucking monarchy. like doesn't even trust his own bloodline to like do a good job. He has to come back and like do it himself. Uh, so like I'm talking like people who would live for like 300 years, and it's in the Bible that first generation of, you know, in the Enoch days, like they, you know, that's not a strange sort of timeline, but you got to understand that like our concept of time is misconstrued because they started time with these numbers for 0 BC, when clearly time was existing and being documented by other cultures before that time. Very primitive, lazy, unrevolutionized concept of time. That's why I can see through it so easily. It's a lazy simulation. It's like implemented the oppressive, you know, simulation, colonizing, experimentation fucking framework, but either people are stupid that the people running the systems don't have to be unawares to keep the facade going. It's quite easy for them. They run in a lazy way. Like their tools of harm and tools of enablement are very like weak. Maybe on purpose, so it's easy for people to like be enabled by it or like try to fuck it over, try to scam it. They make it that way because on like poor design. Obvious. It's so obvious that it's enabling to me. Which isn't really doing a lot of people any favors, and they want us to be all little workers. So, you know, I'm talking about Centrelink here right now. Thank you, Labour, for like Centrelink. And it is good for helping out disadvantaged families. But as you can see, everyone's pretty much got a Centrelink number these days. So everyone is like a disadvantage. Or needing some kind of like cash injection from the government for some reason. That isn't really regulated. It's just kind of like tossed out. Here you go. It's just given to everyone. Oh no, don't make it a don't have to check everyone's application. Don't have time. Just let them fucking have the money. So you know, so that we can continue being incompetent and evil and corrupt. Keep them all busy with the fucking happy, joy payments. Keep them like you know, because that's oh thanks for the money. I'll just go and spend it on all the things that are healthy for me and like get good therapy and good health and do like really like useful things like that with my money. I'm gonna go buy a new TV or a new phone or some drugs or like half a tank of petrol